So, first off, if you wouldn't mind just saying your name and title, and which I guess would be
Project Director.
Project Director. Just so our editor knows who we're talking to later.
Sure.
When we're putting the lower third up and that kind of thing.
Okay. Gary Winsper, Project Director.
All right. So we've kind of been asking a lot of these same questions person to person, but tell us about your journey west and how you ended up at Skanska.
Well, I've been with Skanska for 33 years, mostly working on the East Coast. The journey west was very unpredictable. It was not planned. It was a phone call I received from Mike Cabelli. He said, Gary, I'd like you to come out to the west. We have an interview with a potential client, VTA. We probably have very little chance of getting this job. Just help make the team look good. I came out, met the team. Chemistry really worked well. We put together, I think, a really good presentation to the client with the help of lots of people from Skanska Building and Civil throughout the country. And the client liked the team, and lo and behold, a year later, here I am.
Great. And you kind of did it this for that first question, but moving forward, make sure and ignore the camera and just talk to me, which you're doing anyway. But and also, if you can rephrase the question,
Sure.
just a little bit, just so that it's in context, which you did that as well. But you know, like what makes this client unique and challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things that make this client unique and challenging would be your answer.
Okay, I got it.
So, what makes this client unique and challenging?
What a surprising question. Well, one of the things that makes this client unique and challenging to me is it's not just one client. We work directly for VTA, which is Valley Transportation Authority, but ultimately our end customer, the user of this, is BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, and they're the ones that actually have to accept the project, so that makes it unique because there are differences in qualifications and standards and expectations of both agencies, and we pretty much have to satisfy both on this project. I've never been on a project like that where you kind of have a customer and then behind the scenes another customer that you have to satisfy to sell the project to.
Interesting. Can you tell me anything about some of the strategies maybe that you've employed to improve the relationship with the client, I assume?
Some of the things that I've tried to do with this client, because it's a big part of my persona with any big project that I go on, is to try to really develop a great relationship with the client. Almost where I blur the line between us as a contractor and them as the client. And I don't like having any kind of barriers between the two parties. So I try to make it as informal as possible. I try to early on engage the client to find out exactly what are their hot buttons, what do we really need to be concerned with through the life of this project. And in turn, I'm very open and honest with them and say, hey, look, we have a problem here. We didn't bid this right, we may need some help with this, etc. And usually when we treat each other with respect, and that's the key word, where no one seems to be tipping the scale to have more advantage than the other, and we use the word, and I love to use this word, reasonableness. Both parties really seem to get together well, and the projects are usually very successful for both. And no different than with this client. And that seems to be working so far very well for our team, because I've been encouraging our team to break those barriers and have informal relationships with the client, talk to them all the time, make them part of our team, part of our solution, and help us to be part of their team and their solution. And that's worked very well.
Great. I guess there's maybe some backstory to this, but tell me what has changed in the owner-design builder relationship over the past year?
Well, I think a lot has changed since we started this project with this owner. The owner had expectations of our joint venture that we're going to just hit the ground running when we get here. I think the other issue with hitting the ground running is that this particular client has never done a design-build project before, which this is a big design-build project. So we get and we start with what I like to call cartoons, and then we have to develop them through design before we can really start any real construction. And I think this this client's expectations were that we were just going to get on the job day one, and day two, we were going to have all these plans in place and start construction. And clearly that's because they didn't understand the design-build process. So part of what we have done here in the last 9 or 10 months is we've educated the client on design-build. We've explained to them where all the benefits are and how they can be part of our team to help produce a really good project at the end. And we have that opportunity that you wouldn't necessarily have with more traditional bid-build jobs. So I guess now 10 months later, the owner, VTA, is starting to see those benefits, really enjoying engaging with our team through the design process, having a lot to say, and a lot of their input we're incorporating into our design. So ultimately we're going to be building that at the end. And really starting to see that, wow, these are great advantages that we couldn't have done. If we just gave these guys a set of plans, that would have been it. Every one of these would have been changes that we would have had to pay for. Now, since it's early in the game, we can get a lot of these in. There's no additional cost, and we're getting more of what we really want. So they're starting to really see the advantages of that. And on our side, it's advantageous because we can really collect from them what they want in this project, put it in, and other things that they don't necessarily need we can take out of the project, which also is a cost savings and a time savings for us. So again, I go back to that reasonable approach, and it seems to be working very, very well now.
Right. Next question is we may have just sort of hit on that a little bit already, but maybe we can just kind of ask one more time, maybe focus in a little bit just on this perception versus reality. How did things at the beginning? How did things seem at the beginning, and what happened when the rubber hit the road? So again, you might be sort of
sure
repeating a little bit then.
I think there was a big difference on this project between the perception of what it is versus the reality of what it truly is. And again, the perception clearly to our client here was that this team had a lot of design build experience. We had a kit of tools that we could just open up on day one and just start to work and start to drive forward. The reality is we're combining 3 separate companies, a design team that's made up of 9 sub-consultants, and a lot of the people not living in the Bay Area. So now you're bringing and transporting people to get them to work, relocate, find apartments, get their families adjusted to the area, etc. You have a lot of dynamics going on that does take a little bit of time. Plus, we had no office to start with. We have to build an office. We have to build the team. We have to educate the team. We have to get familiar with the people we bring in and what the contract is all about. And the majority of the people don't have design build experience. And if you think about that, very logical, because there are not a lot of big design build transit projects in the entire United States. It's a handful. So it would be no surprise that this one comes out in Northern California, and the expectation would be that we've got hundreds of these people at our beck and call that have design build experience, that's done this before. There are not a lot of those folks out there. So a big part of the job, reality is, you're training these people as you go along. And you're taking a lot of the energy that these people are bringing in, a lot of the anxiety that they may have, and you're turning that into something that's fantastic because you're taking a lot of innovation from these folks, putting them into the process with the people that do understand design build, and challenging them so that they are really coming in with some great new ideas to this that they could never have done before on a more traditional job. And I think all that energy that's in here and within the group, and I'm talking about the owner and the contractor, because I don't separate the two, has been wonderful because we've had a lot of traditional approaches and we've had a lot of just throw the thing out and see if it sticks. And between the two, we've becoming to get a real nice mix in this stew that's coming out to be a great project, I think.
Great. Next question, and I don't, I'm not even sure. What's JV?
Joint
Joint
venture.
venture.
Joint venture, okay. How would you say this joint venture is working, and how have you built a team from 3 different companies? How does SSH compare to previous joint ventures you've worked with?
I think one of the biggest challenges I had as a director was coming here as the managing partner from Skanska, and then trying to take 2 other companies, Shimmick and Herzog, and bring them into the team so that we didn't have these separate siloed cultures. And each of the 3 companies are very different. They do different types of work, and bringing them all together and knocking these down was a challenge. One of the first things I did is I handed out and told everybody to get business cards that would have just joint venture name and no title, just the name of who you are and the company you work for. That was the first thing. Secondly, we absolutely prohibited any kind of branding of the individual companies within the joint venture walls. So once you came in through the door, you were part of this SSH joint venture. And we started to build up a new company that was not Skanska or Shimmick or Herzog, but it was truly a unique combination and a new culture called SSH. And that was difficult because the tendency is for people to revert back to the people they're familiar with and the way they can truly do work prior to coming to this new experience. And what we try to do there is, okay, you could take some of that to help you, but we want to create a new culture here, a new environment that's specific for this project to make this project successful. And for you and your growth as you leave here to go back to working for your company, you've come up with, or you're going to come out of this with a lot of development and a lot of new insight, and be educated, because it is a process that we have to go through. And I think we're doing it very well as a team. We do a lot of team things together. We have every single Monday we do a staff meeting for everybody on the team. We talk about different things, and we don't specifically just talk about the project. We talk a lot about other things, current events. We throw things out there, challenges. We have sometimes debates. We break it into committees. So we have a lot of fun with this, and the reason to do that is to develop a team culture that's unique to SSH. We need to create this company for 5 years together to get through all these challenges we have yet to hit. And if we break ourselves into individual companies, the tendency is to go back to our individual way of working. And that would be a disaster for a big project like this.
So where do you see things in the West going in the future, and how can Skanska continue to position itself to take advantage of that?
I think the West has got a lot of great opportunities. I mean, I come from the Northeast, and the Northeast is a very mature market. We pretty much know who our clients are and what kind of projects are going to come out. The West is much more exciting. It truly is the Wild West right now. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of potential huge projects coming out here because it is an area that is so undeveloped in terms of mass transit particularly. And all these cities between San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, etc., and San Jose are major developing urban areas that absolutely require mass transit. And that's a big market for Skanska, particularly. So I see this as a great opportunity here. It's going to take a little bit of time to develop to a more mature market, but that gives us a real edge because we know how to do design build, we know how to do big transit projects, and we've got the skill sets throughout the country that can do these type of projects, and we just need to bring them out to the West, show them where the advantages are. And the West has got 300 plus sunny days a year. Why would you not want to come out to the West?